Okay, time for another rant video. Welcome back to the channel. This is Roberto with Full Curve Precision. And, there's certain things I like to talk about in terms of what I see, annoyances, different things like that. And one of the ones that really annoys me to no end has to do with what I consider to be dishonest advertising. And this is not company specific, this is just across the board standard. One thing, even from a long time, it's been decades this has been going on, is oftentimes when you go to find like reloading data or even information on the back of a box, for instance, let's say, there we go, we'll have some data here that I'm using a 300 Win Mag. Now, when it comes to Magnums, typically they use the same barrel length that they advertise with. But there's a lot of cartridges where they don't use the same barrel length that they advertise with. So they'll have information like, here, check it out. So you'll get like information on the back of a box, right? Well, part of that is when you get into standard size casings, and a lot of them are not even standard size casings, they're AR style cases. You'll find data that's for whether it's reloading or advertised velocities based upon much longer barrels. So like 24, 26. So is there anything wrong with that? Yeah, there is. Because the fact is, a lot of the cartridges that they're advertised in, it's really rare to find the barrels that are in that length. For instance, I was just doing the other night I did 223 Remington versus the 22 Arc. And when I looked online for the data, here it is, a fairly new cartridge. So it should be some updated information and methods, right? Nope, not at all. Here's a problem. Why is it when I selected the two different types, they have options of bolt gun pressures and gas gun pressure. And I'm like, okay, I'll select the gas gun because I'm comparing two cartridges that are designed to go inside of an AR-15. And I wanted to do a 20-inch barrel comparison because it's not too uncommon in an AR-15. Your most common barrel lengths are going to be 16, 18, and 20. But the reloading data and just load data, period, was all on 24-inch barrel. Let me ask you guys, when was the last time you saw an AR-15 in a 24-inch barrel? I know they exist. I've seen only a few. There's not many out there. Not many guys are using a 24-inch barrel. They're using, again, 16s, 18s, and 20s. And some of them are even shorter than that. Some of them are 14s. So let me ask you, if I'm looking for data, wouldn't it make sense that there should be load data that reflects the common barrel length? It would make sense. Why is it that they advertise with a much longer barrel? So, for instance, there's even reloading data on 280 Ackley out of a 26-inch barrel. Well, why does it need a 26-inch barrel? 24 is 100% burn rate, regardless of your load of your powder charge. It burns it complete, so it doesn't make sense. It comes down to a lot of these companies are just padding numbers to make their ammunition loads look better than they really are. It's the same thing when it comes to hunting rifles. For the longest time, the most common barrel length, and it still is very much this way, is still 22 inches. 308, 243, 30-06, 270, your 280 Remingtons, your 6.5 Creedmoor, there's just name it. The vast majority are 22-inch barrels. But y'all, your data is based upon 24-inch barrels. Now, is there anything wrong with having a 22-inch barrel? No. And I can understand why some companies would go to that. 22-inch barrel is a little handier in the woods. It's less money for the manufacturers. So, because you think about it, if you could take 2 inches off of a number of barrels, before you know it, you have another barrel, right? So, I get that, in terms of that, but if you're gonna do that, why not just have load data to reflect the actual barrel length? And it's like, well, there's 22s and there's 24s. That's true. So have both. And a couple companies are starting to do that, but not many. I think Federal is starting to do that with their 7 backcountry, where they have load data on the back of their box for 24 and 20, which is pretty cool. Actually, I have much respect for that. But it'd be nice if more companies would follow that pattern, because then there's actually a good, reliable piece of information. Because, in my one video, again, why barrel length matters, go check it out. I show what the difference is on an average, and chose 2 different styles of cartridges. And the fact is, you actually have a significant drop in your velocities. Not so massive that it's going to affect the efficacy on game, but at the same time, it does affect your trajectory. Now, if you're talking only you're shooting within 300 yards, it doesn't really matter. But when you go from like a 24 to a 20, it's a big jump. So it's good to have those numbers. And it goes into one thing that I strive to do is not mimic that kind of habit. I don't want to see that. In the cartridge development that I'm doing for myself with this new cartridge design, everything you're going to see as far as data that I'm going to share is not going to be on a 24-inch barrel or a 26-inch barrel. I'm not going to pad the numbers. I'm using a 22-inch barrel because, number one, that's the most common barrel length still to date. Number two, in the size case that I'm using, I can achieve 100% burn rate out of a 22-inch barrel. Number three, again, you're talking maybe a difference of 50 feet per second. Is it a dip? Yes. Is it enough to be a difference when it comes to hunting? No, because I'm still gonna have really good velocity, really good energy. But at the same time, I'm a strong believer in anything I do should reflect what you can expect out in the field. And honesty and reliability are what people look for in anything. And let's face it, it doesn't matter if you are talking about hunting or target shooting, buying a vehicle, buying a house, making a decision as to where to maybe get some extra education. Do you want somebody who, do you want something that's going to be inconsistent and unreliable? No, because you value your money. And you know what? Yes, you should, because money is really just a reflection of your time and energy. That's really all it is. And so if you're going to spend your time and energy pursuing something, you want it to be worthwhile. And as it should be. That's a reasonable expectation. And so the same thing. If I'm going to try to convince people that my rifle cartridge is worthwhile, it needs to meet a few criteria. Number one, it needs to work. It needs to be affordable. And it needs to actually work as advertised. Okay? Those 3 things. Work as advertised, be affordable, and be consistent. That's what people look for when it comes to this avenue of life. And if I can't produce that, then I'm no better than any other company, am I? No, that's the whole point. I want people to be able to buy this and know that what they get on the box is what's going to happen. Now, I get there's different powders and different primers, and there's variations. There's variables like elevation. Some barrels shoot faster than others, so on and so forth. But it's not too unreasonable to expect that a box of ammunition performs within 50 feet per second of the advertised velocity. That's not unreasonable. As a matter of fact, it should be the expectation. Now, here's the thing: if you have a barrel that's a little bit longer than what's on the back of the box, and you're gaining velocity, I see that as a gain. That's not a loss. That's actually a really good thing. But in my opinion, if you're going to advertise something, you should be pretty stinking close to the advertised number. And so that way people can buy it and have the expectation of being really close to their target, at 100, 200, 300, 400, and even 500 yards. That's going to be the biggest thing that people are looking for is reliability. I don't care how much you advertise it. I don't care how good you try to make this sound out to be. If it does not perform as advertised, it's fraud. Okay? It must perform as advertised. And that's what I plan on delivering, is a product that delivers exactly as advertised. So if you agree with that, please like, subscribe, share, comment, hit that notification bell. I'm really looking to grow this where people who are like-minded like myself can gather together and actually create a reliable company that others can see and can come to. Now, and here's the thing, I'm not so dead set on a specific caliber that I'm not willing to expand into others. I'm starting with a 27 because, again, there needs to be a better selection of 27s than there already are. But I'm trying to make an affordable, high-performance cartridge. That's my goal. And if you agree with that, please subscribe, share, and comment. That's going to help me be able to grow, because the more people who do that, the more other companies will start paying attention, and they might just take my cartridge idea and put it on the market. And I can't do it unless you help me. So I appreciate all the support. That's all I have for tonight, and we'll talk to you again.